People should not be walking around with masks. Let me just state for the record that masks are not theater. Wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and masks are protective, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is.
There has not been any indication that putting a mask on and wearing a mask for a considerable period of time has any deleterious effects.
There are unintended consequences. People keep fiddling with the mask and they keep touching their face.
And can you get some schmutz sort of staying inside there?
Of course.
You do not need to wear a mask indoors if, in fact, you've been vaccinated. Good that you're vaccinated, but in a situation where you have people indoors, particularly crowded, you should wear a mask.
So even if you are vaccinated, you should wear a mask. If, in fact, you are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, you are protected, and you do not need to wear a mask outdoors or indoors. When the children go out into the community, you want them to continue to wear masks.
You know, if you look at children outside, particularly when they're with the family, walking down the street, playing a game or what have you, don't have to wear a mask.
The Academy of Pediatric actually makes that recommendation that children should be wearing masks from 2 years old onward.
And you're asking now, if your child is a member of your household, can you walk outdoors with your child without a mask? According to that chart, the answer is yes.
But the child can't, not to beat it to death.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Okay. Because now the CDC says, I think I've got this right. 1 mask is better than 0 masks. 2 masks is better than 1 mask. But you don't have to have double masks. Is that right?
It became clear that cloth coverings that you didn't have to buy in a store, that you could make yourself, were adequate.
And then you want it to fit better. So one of the ways you could do it, if you would like to, is put a cloth mask over, which actually here and here and here, where you could get leakage in, is much better contained.
And are you a double masker, Dr. Fauci? It looked like you are.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening. That was...
That kind of covers a couple of our top 10 items there.
Yeah, it definitely does. How are you, Nevs?
I'm okay. How are you doing, Carrie?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Thank you. Yeah.
And hello to everybody who's joining us. Thank you for joining us.
Inspector's here. Hi, Inspector.
Hey, Inspector. Thank you for coming. I'm going to show one of your comments on Telegram in a little bit later.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, everyone. I don't know if, it looks like we might have a couple on YouTube, and then we've got Inspector on, I see the smile on Rumble. So if you're joining us, thank you. We are going to cover the top 10 craziest things people did during COVID. And it's not just individual people, it's the government too.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to say, it's funny and not funny.
That's true. We've got some funny parts and some very serious.
We can kind of laugh now, but it's very, very serious. It was and is. And there are still people doing some of these things. But anyway.
It is. Some of it's, we're going to have fun.
Okay.
So we're going to laugh and cry. Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, Moxie will be joining us a little bit later, potentially. We'll see. And she's on the road right now. So, but she might be able to join us a little bit later. But should we just go ahead and get started with our
let's
top 10? Yeah, let's start with number 10. Ready?
Ready.
Number 10, you can only purchase essential items. Some grocery stores, pharmacies, and big box stores only allowed you to purchase essential items. Refused to sell you home improvement items, electronics, home goods, and seeds in order to stop the viral spread.
Ooh, in order to stop the viral spread. Yeah, do you have any
sense?
Do you have any personal experiences at the grocery stores trying to get things that aren't necessarily essential?
No, but I live in Texas, so I think it was a little bit different here than some other states.
You know, that's a really good point. Everybody had a different experience depending on what state they're in.
Yeah.
So Herbie joined us on YouTube. Hey, Herbie.
Hey, Herbie.
But it's kind of crazy that they literally took caution tape.
I mean, you're already at the store. So why can't you just get some of those other things? And what I noticed was that they didn't want you getting home improvement. They didn't want you to get gardening supplies.
Seeds.
To grow food. I mean, think about that. It's like they wanted maximum maximum like mental abuse. That's what it was. And
it was the grocery stores and pharmacies and stuff were a little bit crazy. They were a little bit crazy.
I mean, and I still don't understand why, but I think personally that they wanted you at home watching the TV, the fear porn 24/7.
Yep. And ordering from Amazon.
And ordering, yeah.
And playing Animal Crossing, which actually was fun. I actually did play that during the pandemic with some of my family, which was it's a cute little game. I've done gaming games too in the past, like EverQuest and WoW, but the Animal Crossing was kind of cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's not a lot to say about our top 10, but we just thought it was so ridiculous for number 10 that you couldn't buy anything but essential items in some places, not in all places.
Mm-hmm.
I did just purchase some heirloom seeds.
Great.
To have on hand just in case.
I mean, just grow anyway. I mean,
right.
Just get them in the ground, or get your rise garden, or the hydroponic indoor.
Yeah, I still have to order that. I haven't done that. For those who are wondering, that's like an indoor growing. I don't have like a big yard where I can have a garden. I have a little tiny yard, and it's an association, so I can't really put a fence up. So
you could do it indoors. And after what we've been through, we've come to realize, wow, growing our own food is a good idea.
It is.
Yeah.
Because they're genetically modifying the food. If you get those heirloom seeds, organic.
Yeah, definitely got to stay with that.
Yep, the heirlooms. Anyway, should we continue and go on to number 9?
Yes.
Okay, let's see.
Number 9, hoarding goods. During COVID, people behaved in surprising ways. Do you remember when these women in Australia fought over toilet paper?
Tensions flared at Woolworths Chullora around 7 o'clock this morning when 3 women became involved in a toilet paper tussle.
I just want one pack. No, not one pack.
Staff rushed to aisle 11 to intervene.
Yes, okay. Stop. Call the police. I'm calling the police.
Well, I don't know what happened to that video. Did it freeze up?
No.
Oh, it didn't freeze up on you?
No, I don't know. It seemed fine to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was frozen on me, but I saw you moving and I was moving. Yeah, the toilet paper.
I mean, is this really news? Think about that. I mean, it seemed like the media, they just love to capture that.
Well, you know what? I was shocked because it hadn't even been like a thing here, COVID even.
Yeah.
And I heard that in Australia, people were fighting over toilet paper. And I told my sister, what the heck? Like, what's going on? That's creepy. Because, now we can laugh at it, but I was like creeped out that people actually behave that way.
So you didn't see anything like that?
I didn't see anything like that, but this in Australia happened before it came here. So it was like super shocking.
Yeah.
Before we knew we'd be out of toilet paper. I'm like, how do you run out of toilet paper? Why would somebody hoard toilet paper?
Yeah. I'm just wondering, is it just fear of running out, like, that that kind of psychology, or was it actually hoarding? Because hoarding is a severe mental illness. Like, people completely lost their minds.
Oh, yeah. I mean, people were hoarding things during COVID. They would hoard weird stuff, but toilet paper was like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But people would buy in bulk because I don't know if they're afraid to run out, but you got to remember that God will provide. It doesn't like,
Right.
Yeah. So it was funny on Telegram this morning when I posted that we're going to have our show tonight. I'm just going to share. Farmer Bob said the toilet paper crisis. They're trying to guess as to what we were gonna cover in our top 10. And Farmer Bob says, I always imagined in a crisis that people would stock up on food, medicine, water, the things you need, but toilet paper. No. And he reminded me of this thing that I wish I would have included in our countdown. Is on the East Coast at one point they had a fuel scare. There were people that were so afraid of fuel shortages that they began filling up everything they could, even grocery bags. And on the news there was a person's car caught on fire because something sparked their grocery bag.
I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Somebody putting gasoline in a bag.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah. And Inspector gave us this funny me this gift. It's funny. People just running around grabbing the toilet paper like crazy.
We had to stick with one, like at Costco, just one, bag. We couldn't buy multiple. So there was some rationing, but
yeah,
nobody was fighting. Thank goodness.
Yeah, they had a ration here too. I saw signs like, one toilet paper per person or whatever. Anyway, that was kind of ridiculous, and I thought that would be funny to show tonight because you walk down memory lane and you look back and like, people really behave this way.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's the psychology. I felt really bad. I wish I could have found. I was searching and searching for this clip that I had, and I couldn't find it. But well, I'll cover it when we cover our next item.
I have a lot to say about why this happened in the final thoughts, by the way.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I'm looking forward to that. All right, let's go on to the next one, shall we?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 8, masks and Karens. The fear of COVID was sometimes incredible to witness and caused people to behave in odd ways. Remember when this woman lost it when a fellow airline passenger took his mask off to eat?
Is it playing for you?
Yeah.
Oh, it was playing for you?
Yeah.
What is going on with my...
Oh, no.
I'm sorry if I cut it off. I'm going to play it again.
Number 8, masks and Karens. The fear of COVID was sometimes incredible to witness and caused people to behave in odd ways. Remember when this woman lost it when a fellow airline passenger took his mask off to eat?
You got your mask. You're going to jail. As soon as we get it later, you're going to jail.
She slapped that guy.
She did. She was arrested for assault, I believe.
Yeah, I remember that. Good.
But masks and Karens. I forgot to include a little mask thing in there, but yeah, do you remember that?
I do.
When that happened, it was it was interesting.
There were a lot of videos of people. I remember there was a man stalking a woman who wasn't wearing a mask, and she was with her child. And I think it was in Hobby Lobby, and other customers were coming to her defense because he was that scary. It was a woman and her child and a big dude. and he was just on her because she didn't have a mask on.
Yeah, there were so many video clips. Like I could have pulled up probably 50 video clips of people going nuts because either someone got too close to them or wasn't wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
I mean, people were shaming and harassing, you know, it was scary.
it was scary. And people got so crazy about the masks that they even like masked their animals,
Yeah.
you know? And I actually do. Oh, I wonder. Let me just see if this is what I was looking for. No, I did save. Oh, shoot. Well,
Totally irrational knows that woman, she had a mask on, right? No, she didn't have a mask on. She didn't have one either, and she's yelling at him.
yeah. Yeah.
Very irrational.
Well, I think she had it hanging.
Okay, but she took it off to yell.
She took it.
So that just shows you that, you know, she was completely irrational. If she really thought that he could get her sick, why would she take off her mask?
Right?
It made no sense. That's
No, it didn't make any sense. I was trying to find something, but somebody pointed out in chat earlier. I'm just going to paste this, and I know you've got something to share too. But so there are pictures where all the adults, don't have the masks on, but yet look at they have all the kids masked up.
When the kids are not in danger of COVID.
Right.
Right.
Right. And
it's sick.
Let's see. You did.
Oh, yes. I have a video, please.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just putting masks on 2-year-olds, I think was a crime. What do you think about that? You have kids.
I was not into it.
I was not into it either. I think the whole thing was like,
I find it really weird. And obviously there was a mob out there making the case once the propagandists got done with them, that people can tell you what to do.
Right.
With your body.
Exactly.
I find that really weird.
Even in an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Even in an emergency. And there was a moment there where you could say it was an emergency when, like...
Yeah, but these mother had the data pretty early on.
Yes.
And they wouldn't let it go.
Correct.
Because somebody was jerking off in an office over, we're laughing about it, what they got people to do.
No, I mean, if hospitals are being overrun, which didn't happen as much as they hyped it, but was certainly potentially happening, and there were some times when, yes, there were gurneys in the hallways. Okay, that's an emergency. I can see draconian measures for a short period of time, but then to let something that should have been 2 weeks drag on for 2-3 years.
Flatten the curve. Remember Flatten the Curve?
Remember herd immunity? I mean, the way they like, just like in politics, they just like float something, and if it doesn't turn out to be true, they don't apologize for it. They just move on to the next one.
Yeah. And God knows what they're using to figure out their messaging. Like, are they using AI or Google Analytics? You know what I mean?
Well, now they are.
Yeah, they tweak the messaging, right? So, and you know, I'm a songwriter. You know what I mean? It's like, I think, oh, that's a pretty good album title, Flatten the Curve. You know what I mean? It's like, it has a ring to it. That's my point.
Yeah, that's a good video.
Yeah, that guy was he's with Smashing Pumpkins, musician. But
yeah,
he made Mayor made some really good points because you know, I always imagine, or was it the other guy that said it was like people in a back room laughing, like the elites that pushed this on us, like are they just getting a thrill? And then when it's been revealed that they were wrong about so many things, they never apologize. They never do.
No, they don't circle back and take accountability. And honestly, one of the things that you pointed out, I think, when you were sharing the video, was the fact that it's not about left and right.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, Mayor is pretty far left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know people that think taking the vaccine or wearing a mask and all of that stuff that they were mandating, that if you're conservative, you didn't do it. Like if that's your politics, and the Democrats, they follow the rules,
Yeah, it's not a Democrat Republican thing at all.
Not even close.
It shouldn't be. Like it shouldn't be political. It's about your right to privacy.
Absolutely.
And like for me, I didn't wear masks, and I find it like hard to breathe, and I don't want to breathe in my own exhale.
Yeah.
So I just refused, and I know that my sister was embarrassed with me when when I would go shopping and people would give me looks, but I take that back. I had to wear a mask one time. And that's when I was doubled over in pain and had to go to the hospital and have surgery.
Oh my. Whoa.
Yeah, my appendix. And I held off going for forever, and it actually burst before surgery.
Whoa.
So I really didn't want to be at the hospital.
Was the hospital crowded?
No, not when, I don't believe so. Not when I went in for surgery, but yeah.
Well, and he mentioned gurneys in the hall, and maybe draconian is okay for a while. Well, what about all the technicians and nurses dancing? Remember all those dancing videos?
Well, you know what? There were videos where the news reported that specific hospitals said they were overwhelmed, and they had people, outside of the waiting room and everywhere, and they didn't have beds and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So some people with their iPhones went to that hospital.
I remember that.
You do?
I do.
And it was empty. And honestly, I should have brought this up later in a different segment. But the hospital was empty. I know it's not mask related, but
yeah, there was just a lot of lies. A lot of propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What about there's another picture of the musician, what they had.
Oh, yeah. So this is your picture. So you know how I showed how they make the kids wear masks. This is your picture here.
Help me understand.
So they're masked up the kids and cut a hole in it so they could play their instruments. Now, is that insane? Is that insane?
It's completely irrational.
It really
and that's
is.
what all of this was.
Yep.
Yeah. But people went along with it.
They did.
Because trust the science and because they told us to do it. And so, but I mean, it just makes no sense because it's completely open here. I mean, but besides the fact that those kinds of masks on the package, it reads that does not protect you from viruses.
Yeah, it literally says that.
Yes.
Except I don't think like the N95s say that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Not everybody had those, but
right.
Anyway, that's super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've still got 7 more items to get through. We're gonna end it on a light note, by the way. It's gonna be funny, so you have to stay till the end.
My final thoughts are kind of pensive and deep.
Oh,
but I'll try not to.
I mean, number 1 will be
okay, yeah.
All right, let's go on to number 7.
Okay.
Number 7, social distancing. Grocery stores put arrows on the floors so people wouldn't pass each other while shopping. This man walked around with a hula hoop to stay 6 feet away. People put themselves in cages for outdoor events. People created circle-safe zones in office spaces. Fast food employees walked around in bubbles. Strip clubs stayed in business by holding outdoor-only drive-by strip shows. People put plexiglass between each other for swim exercising. And to top it all off, a baby was baptized with a squirt gun. Yes, this is an actual baptism.
That was an actual baptism. I mean, how do you?
What do you say to that? It's just the absurdity of it. And
The
the
guy
only
with the hula hoop. It's sad, actually.
it really is. And it was the priest, or whoever it was, wearing a mask, and nobody else had. It's just, yeah. But it just seems to me like all of that stuff were the hula hoops. The hula hoops were in there too. Like all of these crazy things, and I just feel like it's part of it's like humiliation.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's right out of the communist playbook that when people are afraid and demoralized, they're easier to control. And isn't that what they did? They demoralized us, or tried. They did to the ones that were aware of this whole, agenda and everything. But that's exactly what they did. People were doing.
Well, they instilled the fear into people, and some people let that fear in,
mm-hmm.
and some people didn't.
Yep.
Yeah. But this is what I was going to bring up earlier. This was the clip that I was looking for, and I felt so bad. My heart actually broke for this girl. So I really felt for the people who were Karens, or people who were super fearful, because they literally were feeling this fear that was driven by all of the fear tactics that were put out in the news with the numbers and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there was this girl, she was, I think like a teenager, maybe 13 or 14, maybe younger.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember the specific details. It was so long ago, but I think she didn't want to get on an elevator with somebody who didn't have a mask on. Mm-hmm. And she was screaming
mm-hmm.
and crying and having, and it went viral because everybody was laughing at it. But at the same time, I felt for her, because she literally, you could see the fear in her. And it's like, how can these people be convinced to be so fearful?
A lot of damage done to the children.
There was a lot of damage done to
and
the
then just
children.
The wearing of masks.
Yeah.
It really stunted their growth, because we learn so much by looking at faces and reading faces. It's a huge part of communication, probably more than words, and that was all blocked out. And then as far as the social skills and, just identifying with people and just that human bonding.
Yeah.
It was just walled off.
Totally walled off.
Yep.
I'm going to share a quick picture to laugh again.
Okay, let's laugh.
This is a cafe. Oh, wait, before we do that. Hey, Moxie. You were able to join us.
Hey.
Yeah, we weren't sure. We're in the middle of number 7, which is social distancing. But I've got this picture to share. So this is on Twitter. This is a restaurant handed out hats with swimming noodles on them, so people would stay 6 feet apart.
So wait, what?
So people would stay 6 feet apart. They're the those noodles.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The pool for the pool.
Yes.
So these are hats that had them tied to the hats so that people would be forced to be.
They just didn't want that intimacy, so that people could talk about how crazy it all was and maybe talk sense into each other, or just, do you know what I mean?
Well, I have to tell you, my mom passed away just a few months before COVID started. And I looked at so she was in ICU and she was on life support for a while. And I was there every day, all day. My sister and I took turns sleeping there. And I couldn't imagine during COVID. I'm going to get all choked up. But I could not imagine during COVID not to be able to be there.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I'm downer after showing. Here, let's look at the funny picture.
No, it's okay. Your mom and my mom died a day apart.
That's right. Yeah.
Here, and I've thought the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that she's with the Lord, and but you know.
Yeah, but I mean, those people, I felt for them because they couldn't, if they had family in the hospital, they couldn't be by their side. I am so blessed that I got to be there.
I would have been in jail.
And like people in nursing homes and their children couldn't visit them. What the heck?
I know.
Like I would have ripped my mom right out of that nursing home and
Absolutely.
said, you are coming to live with me.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so welcome, Moxie. We're gonna go on to number 6 now. Or did I skip any of yours, Carrie? I don't think you.
No.
Okay. Yeah, let's go on to number 6. You ready?
Ready.
Number 6, censorship. Many social media posts were removed, and people have been banned for trying to relay critical COVID and vaccine information. They were censored in the name of misinformation, even if what they were saying was true. If it went against the approved narrative, it was removed.
Social media companies have been urged to take sterner action against coronavirus misinformation.
According to the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Cheesecake Factory has been fined for putting out misleading information about how the virus is impacting business.
Facebook and Twitter each took issue with posts made by President Trump on Wednesday. Twitter temporarily prevented the Trump campaign from tweeting after its account posted a video of the president saying children are almost immune to the coronavirus.
Or any other supposed thought criminal who's been cancelled on social media for talking about COVID and its origins. Anything deemed a thought crime and you can be cancelled immediately. I mean, it's gotten to the point now where FBI and other government intelligence agencies are infiltrating and working in conjunction with all the big social media sites.
Mm-hmm. That was...
Yeah, a lot of censorship happened during COVID.
A lot.
People wanted to share information and they were cut off. So you only got one side.
Yep.
Right?
The doctors, Dr. Malone, Dr. McCullough, like the ones that are now being interviewed everywhere, right? They're the rock star. Yeah. They're the ones that were sharing the truth, and they were completely censored.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, the censorship was really crazy, and it's still going on. Actually, there are people who still haven't gotten their like Twitter accounts back, and maybe not because of COVID. It might have been even more than that, but still, like it was based off of people stating their opinions that wasn't a part of the narrative.
Yeah.
Before we continue, just real quick, Herbie said good evening, and then he said good evening to Moxie as well. But yeah, do you guys have thoughts on that censorship? Did you experience it? Do you know anybody who was censored?
I wasn't removed from anything, luckily, but I did get hit with the banner quite a few times.
For COVID?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? What did you share?
Some vaccine stuff, and also like masks and things. Like if you mention masks, automatic COVID slap on the banner.
Yep. Well, our show title tonight, what are the top 10 craziest things people did during COVID? Mm-hmm. We didn't even have our show yet, and YouTube already put a COVID like information label right on.
Oh, tonight?
Yeah, before the show even started.
We are just that awesome.
Yeah, we're just that awesome. So that's why I'm like, I don't know how long the YouTube video will be up. They've already removed 3 of our videos, and so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I wasn't on social media during that, so none of that happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's even been happening the last couple of years.
Well, I only recently got back on Twitter and Facebook, but
that's true. I've just been strictly probably Telegram.
Telegram has been great. I mean, we're free to share, and I mean, a lot of truth is happening there. I mean, there's some shill accounts too, but
yeah,
good information.
Yeah. Have you mostly been on Telegram, Moxie, or have you been posting on Facebook, Twitter, other places?
I haven't lately. I think I stopped in like June or July last year for the most part. And honestly, I enjoy it way better not being there.
Well, the censorship. So you said Dr. Malone and who else were you saying, Carrie?
Dr. McCullough.
Oh, McCullough, that's right. And even when COVID first came out and Trump got COVID and he said how great like hydroxychloroquine was, look at how they attacked.
Yeah, they said
so he wasn't censored, but they attacked him. What's that?
They said the president says you should drink bleach. Remember that?
Yeah. They totally twisted that around, and then they started calling ivermectin horse dewormer,
which we now know that both are very effective antivirals.
Exactly.
And
they've been giving people ivermectin for malaria, right?
Decades. And river blindness. It's anti-parasitic. It's anti viral, and I think it might be antibacterial as well. It's on the WHO's list of the most. They have a list of the most important medicines. It's on the WHO's list. I mean, let's not get into the WHO. We already know that. Yeah. Completely corrupted, but
it's basically been approved for decades,
and it's been given to tens of millions of people safely.
Very safely. It's one of the safest, with hardly any side effects.
Yeah.
So anyway, censorship, pretty interesting. Any other thoughts on that, or should I move on to our next item?
I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 5, propaganda. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed. Our minds are molded. Our tastes formed. Our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of. This is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. Vast numbers of human beings must cooperate in this manner if they are to live together as a smoothly functioning society. In almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conduct or our ethical thinking, we are dominated by the relatively small number of persons who understand the mental processes and social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind. From Edward L. Bernay's book entitled Propaganda.
Did you write that? Because that was amazing.
That was a quote from that book.
Because Bernay was Albert Einstein's nephew.
Was he?
Yeah. But he wasn't such a brilliant thinker because, I mean, that was great. But anyway, I don't want to digress into that, but I was like, whoa, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of propaganda going around COVID. Moxie, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm actually looking something up really quickly because I forgot to look it up before. But Barack Obama actually legalized propaganda.
Oh yeah, in 2012.
Was it 2013 or something like that?
I think it was in 2012.
Yeah. So before that, it wasn't legal to propagandize us.
How did he legalize it?
That's what I was looking at.
I knew that was happened, but I didn't remember what the exact, was it through an executive order or was it through an actual legislation?
Well, the first thing that pops up is Obama did not sign a law allowing propaganda in the United States.
But yeah, there's been a lot of propaganda, and man, I have so many I have about 50 different things, so I'm not going to get into it. But if you think about back in World War II, all the propaganda they did and the playbook around that, it's completely been followed with COVID.
Oh yeah. There's nothing new under the sun, you know. It's worked in the past, and why not continue to use it?
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's rooted in the idea that the elite know better and that we need to be controlled. That is what they think, and that's what's behind it, and they will use and manipulate anything to control us.
Yeah, do you I don't know if people saw this or not back when James O'Keefe was on Project Veritas. And shoot, I meant to clip this one. That video, maybe I did. I should look and see if I did. But the video of the producer at CNN who said that they had a goal of, you know, getting rid of Trump, and then but the COVID stuff, he was talking about COVID, and this is the propaganda. So he was saying, you know, having all the numbers on the screen constantly, like the death toll and how many more cases and all of that, kept people like tuned to the TV. And I mean, if that's not propaganda, I don't know what is, because they're trying to influence people's decisions and what they think.
The numbers weren't even accurate.
Exactly.
And now it's coming out more and more every day, the flood of information.
Yeah, we're learning a lot. And just imagine what we're going to know even 5 years from now, what's going to get uncovered.
Right. But I mean, all the death certificates that said it was COVID, you know, it could have been a heart attack, but then they test for COVID with the PCR tests on too many, you know, high threshold. And so then they would list it as COVID. Why? Because they got kickbacks.
If they died while they had COVID, even if they died of a heart attack or they died in a car accident, they listed it as COVID.
Yes. And I don't know, because I know we're going to do another episode about the adverse effects of the vaccines, and, you know, just a little bit more in detail on that. But
I'm just talking about death rates and like the propaganda around that.
Yeah. But what I read recently was that only about 10% of what they reported was actually COVID deaths. So
yeah, that's what I read too.
Okay. So
that's pretty scary, isn't it?
Yeah, and they knew it. I mean, they were getting money for vaccines. They were getting money for diagnoses. They were getting money for death certificates that had COVID on them, and they got money for patients going on ventilators.
Yep. If they got remdesivir, they got
remdesivir.
Yep.
Yeah, which they knew in the studies that more than half the people died because they got COVID pneumonia and from it.
Yep.
And then put on the ventilator, that was a death sentence for most, you know. I mean, it was sick, and it was just so sad.
It was. I know you have a video too. Should I play your video?
Yeah.
Okay, let me cue it up real quick. Just want to make it big. All right.
We want to make sure that people can discern the truth from the misinformation. And we want to make sure that everyone understands that no one's safe till everyone's safe.
No one is safe.
No one is safe.
No one is safe. No one is safe.
No one is safe.
Nobody's safe.
No one is safe.
Nobody is safe.
This is a post 9/11 axiom. Safer, but not yet safe.
No one is safe. No one is safe. No one is safe. No one is safe from COVID-19 until everyone is safe.
If the whole world isn't safe, none of us are safe.
No one is safe.
No one is safe.
Nobody is safe until we're all safe.
Health experts have been saying nobody is safe.
Nobody is safe until everybody is safe.
Nobody is safe.
Science is clear.
None of us are safe.
There is no safety.
No one is safe. No one is safe. No one is safe. No one is safe until everyone is safe. No one's safe.
Nobody is safe.
Nobody's safe.
No one's safe.
We'll never be safe
until we're all safe.
We are never going to be safe.
99.5% of people are safe and will survive COVID-19.
The only positive thing out of this is we should be able to manufacture a lot of vaccines, and
Nobody will be safe if not everybody is vaccinated.
you don't have a choice.
As long as not everybody is vaccinated, nobody will be safe.
Normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population. So
Get the fucking vaccine. You need to get vaccinated, and if you don't, you are going to die.
I know you're vaccinated. You're the smart ones, but you know there's people out there who aren't listening to God and what God wants. You know who they are.
The unvaccinated people.
My message to unvaccinated Americans is this.
If you are the unvaccinated, you are the problem.
You're the problem. Condemn them, shame them, blame them.
The only people that you can blame are the unvaccinated.
Frankly, we can't trust the unvaccinated.
They should not be part of polite society.
The lunatics who won't take COVID vaccines walking around lawfully unvaccinated? That's psychotic.
If you're willing to walk among us unvaccinated, you are an enemy.
You have no right not to be vaccinated.
You don't have the right to contaminate someone.
You can't go around pointing a gun in somebody's face, which is what it is when people are unvaccinated.
They are all idiots and losers.
This is a real movement in this country against the unvaccinated.
Jennifer Aniston is cutting non-vaccinated people out of her life.
Unrepentant, unvaccinated. They should be removed from the hospital.
Those who refuse to be vaccinated should be denied health care.
Vaccinated person having a heart attack? Yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy, rest in peace, Wheezy.
Some doctors are saying they'll refuse treatment for people who choose not to get the shot.
Why are hospital and ICU resources going to them?
Morons who will not get the shot. The unvaccinated clowns.
Idiots who think that they can do their own research.
Don't do any of your own research.
Doing your own research is associated with conspiracy theory circles. This go it alone approach, doing your own research, that can have serious consequences. You should get prison time for even questioning the vaccines.
Can we all stop saying, I need to do my own research?
That phrase, do your own research, 4 words, 4 little words that are hurting America. Doing your own research hurts America. Everybody has a supercomputer in their hand that empowers them to do their own research, and that's the problem. You must not do your own research.
I need to do my own research.
I don't ever understand what that means. I'm doing my own research. You can't do your own research unless you're a scientist. Oh, do your own research.
Maybe you've told yourself you're playing it safe. You just want to wait and see since this is a new vaccine. No.
Grow the up and get the vaccine.
Unvaccinated people spread the virus.
Get the vaccine, you dope.
Don't be a get yourself vaccinated. That's just all there is to it.
There's no excuse. No excuse for being unvaccinated.
There's no rational and no emotional argument that adds up against getting your damn shot. There just isn't.
But you made a conscious decision not to get the vaccine.
I also have natural immunity. So for me, personally, this vaccine poses a greater risk than a benefit. I'm also not a risk to any of you. Let's look at the science.
So we see that the natural infection is given greater protection or slightly greater protection than vaccination.
This is a vaccine that was created to prevent severity of disease and to prevent hospitalizations. But the vaccine does not prevent you from getting COVID and does not prevent you from transmitting COVID.
Oh my goodness.
Reality.
No, that's not so. Come on. No, you've been at Fox TV
you
too long.
Have to enjoy.
I just really don't think that we should allow this kind of misinformation.
Get the vaccine so that you don't get COVID-19.
Okay, it's a long video, but you get the point. That when you see all that, holy.
There was so much there to unpack. I lost track because all of it is now, I mean, the vaccinated actually fare better. That's the first thing. Excuse me, the unvaccinated fare better. And the headlines, the unvaccinated, did it right. And, it just goes on and on. And
well, when you see it like all together like that, like nobody's safe if you're not safe.
Mockingbird Media.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Wow.
What is this? Oh, the incentive program that was sent by Inspector.
Yeah.
Oh, let me download this and share it. This is really good. We should probably share this resource with everybody.
Thank you, Inspector.
Thank you, Inspector. It's I've got to open it with Brave real quick.
So I did find the stuff on Obama. It wasn't that he passed something that ended up making propaganda legal. It's that there was a so-called anti-propaganda law that prevented the U.S. government's mammoth broadcasting arm from delivering programming to us.
To the citizens, yeah.
So he just took out the law, yeah.
In July of 2013, that quietly came to an end because of the implementation of a new reform that was passed in the January before that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that he actually signed it to do it, but there was a reform that let that just go
under
away.
his watch. It was brought back pretty
Yeah.
much.
Good
right.
Good catch, Moxie. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So this is what Inspector shared with us. Oopsie, I'm trying to make the screen bigger, but I'm not. 1 second. There. Can you see it? I think that's good.
Might be tough, but you can. I mean, I have it on my phone, so
No, I think it's going to be clear for
It's good.
people on. Yeah. So this is the incentive program for. Is it hospitals and healthcare providers? I'm assuming.
This is Anthem.
Vaccine provider incentive program.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. If they get 30% of their members vaccinated, they get a $20 bonus per vaccinated person. And then if they get up to 75%, all the way up to $125 per person.
Mm-hmm.
So of course they had incentives to push this, regardless. The final incentive program is calculated based on members who are newly vaccinated. So it goes all the way oh my gosh, it goes all the way to $250 bonus per newly vaccinated member.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So up here is like boosters, and this is new people who haven't been vaccinated yet. Wow. Now, what would be the purpose? Inspector, this is a great share.
That really is.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's amazing. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Super crazy. All right. Do we have anything else around the propaganda? We ready to move on?
Ready.
Let's do it. Surveillance time. Whoops. I thought I hit the video and I didn't.
Number 4, surveillance. With COVID outbreaks needing to be tracked, was there any better time for governments to take advantage of this in order to implement massive surveillance schemes?
That last item there was actually referencing the Twitter files and the stuff discovered there.
Yeah.
So, do either one of you girls have thoughts? Moxie, do you have any thoughts on surveillance?
I have so many thoughts.
Okay.
Do you guys remember those exposure alerts you used to get on your phone? They were
right. That when they were tracking us, and if somebody came down with COVID, then they would tell you that you were.
Yeah, like you could turn them off on your phone, and I did it almost immediately.
Oh, I didn't have anything like that. What is it?
There was something in like in the settings where you can go and turn on like the Amber Alerts and all of that.
Oh yeah.
You can decide to block those. Like there were exposure alerts in there too. Like if somebody you knew or you were in proximity with came down with COVID, you could get an alert to let you know that somebody near you had been infected.
Wow.
I definitely had that turned off.
But in order to do that, they had to be tracking you. So that's that's an automatic Fourth Amendment violation. Like, you can't.
Well, you must have had to opt in if you selected that. I have
I think it
everything
was
turned off.
automatically turned on with an update, and you had to go in and turn it off.
Oh, really? With the update? Is that iPhone
Wow,
or Android?
And for non-techie people that don't go and look at all that stuff, it's just there behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Happening. And I know not just in the United States, but other places, like other countries, if they found that you had been in contact with someone who was exposed, like they would go and like show up at your house and tell you. It was
in China, they did some crazy things like locking you in your apartment, like bolting the door.
China was nuts.
They were bolting people in on their doors.
Yes.
And there was that fire that killed so many people because they were all locked in.
Oh.
Was that in China?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole China situation, I couldn't even believe that was happening.
Yeah.
But they had apps tracking us. Like, even if we turned that other thing off, there were other things tracking us, though. It was so weird.
Well, they still do, right? I mean, I was just on my nav. I just put in 2 letters of where I wanted to go, and it was the first thing that popped up because I was talking about it. They're listening and tracking.
Yeah, it is creepy. There is a lot of surveillance going on that we aren't even aware of. But during COVID, they were doing a lot of contact tracing. They were tracking everybody, and if you got COVID, they were tracking you and who you were around. And honestly, like in China, you're talking about China. I mean, they got so crazy that they like could track people on the streets with the cameras, and
facial recognition.
Yeah, so nuts.
And they can see your face even if you have a mask on, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting, the technology, I don't think we even realize what technology is available out there, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, no. Absolutely. They definitely.
Even if we're technical people, because I mean, there's so much that they can track, and it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe. Like even when I have to go in the office and I'm driving to work, and I don't like to have to be in the rush hour traffic, and sometimes I carpool with my sister, and so you can go into there's a lane where you can pay to go a little faster, but if you have 2 people carpooling, you can go in it for free. So when she's with me, I just go in there, and they've got these cameras. They can tell if there's 2 people in the car or if there's just one. Cops are pulling over the people who it's just one and they don't have a pass. So it's like, wow, how can they do that? I mean, even if the sun's glaring on your windshield, must be like thermal or something.
I'm sure it's more, but this was years ago. The estimate was that you're photographed 19 times a day, just like going out to the store, coming home. It's not traveling far and wide.
Yeah.
But you're photographed everywhere.
Yeah, it's nuts. And I can't even believe it. Like, I don't even know if we would know how much happened if we didn't have COVID and we're like waking up to all this stuff.
That is true.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. What's that?
The silver lining.
Silver lining. That's right. I do think there's a silver lining. Whenever something bad happens, something good comes out of it, like a lot of people waking up as far as COVID
absolutely
goes.
Huge global awakening.
Yep, absolutely. Any other thoughts on surveillance?
I mean, with that, The masks definitely helped with the summer of love and surveillance, or the lack thereof, because if you cover your face, it's a lot harder to identify people. So, I mean, that definitely played into that.
Yeah, a lot of people took advantage of the fact that everybody had to wear a mask, and they
Oh, you mean like
they couldn't be identified? Yeah, because they could cover their face.
like Antifa black, but like someone I know went to the airport and with having a mask on, it recognized them and he could just walk right through. So, yeah.
And they did release something on the iPhones with the facial recognition. Like, you could set it to recognize you with a mask on.
Ugh.
Interesting.
They rolled that out late in the whole COVID thing, but they definitely had that set up on the phone.
Interesting. All right, let's move on. We've got 3 more to get through, and we're at the top of the hour. So I know it's going by fast.
Number 3, the draconian lockdowns. Do you remember the Michigan EBS report telling people to stay home? Lockdowns spread like wildfire across the nation and globally. People around the globe were arrested for being outside, and Australia even had quarantine camps.
But lockdown has its consequences. You use lockdowns to get people vaccinated.
You know, I would prefer as much as we possibly could. I think we should really be overly aggressive and get criticized for overreacting.
In England, we must therefore go into a national lockdown which is tough enough to contain this variant. That means the government is once again instructing you to stay at home.
Yeah. Can you believe what Fauci said? That he wants to be aggressive and then just apologize about it later?
Or he said he's never said that we were never supposed to lock down, that he never said that lockdowns were going to do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thoughts on lockdowns, Moxie? What do you got?
So I was very not awake at the very beginning of this. So when they said, 15 days to slow the spread, I'm like, okay, I can not go anywhere for 2 weeks. Like, I already try to not go anywhere for as long as I can, like 2 weeks. Okay, let's lock down and get this over with. And then it went past the 15 days and they extended it out. And when the whole thing started, they sent my son home from school with his iPad and they started doing the distance learning. And they sent him home right before spring break. And then they never took him back. Here I am stuck with my kid at home for more than 15 days. I was only supposed to have him for a week at a time per our court-ordered agreement. And here I am stuck with a teenage boy for a month. And it was just insane. I was losing my mind. And at the end of the 15 days, I was like, something's not right here.
Yeah.
But I'm like, is it because I'm going crazy because there's a kid here? But like, and I worked in healthcare. Like, I know this isn't the way that germs work. Viruses don't do this. And there was no way lockdowns were ever going to do anything. But at the beginning, I was like, okay, 15 days is 15 days. I try not to go anywhere anyways. Why not? And then they kept extending it out and extending it out. And that was the beginning of me starting to wake up.
Interesting.
It is interesting that they had the liquor stores and the drive-through strip clubs, but you had to close the churches. And I don't know if you remember John MacArthur from Grace Church in California. He fought it. And there's another pastor that got arrested. But
hang on.
Yeah.
I've got that up actually, ready to show.
Was that for another point? But it's really interesting because
there's more than one pastor that was arrested for holding services.
I don't know. I think John MacArthur was fined, and he was even trying to have service in the parking lot, and then they barricaded it. I mean, it was just the whole thing. But this is what's interesting is he sued California and he won. So like all this time has passed, and now all these grievances, right? We're seeing that they were overstepping their authority, and it was illegal. And so
absolutely, it's illegal. I mean,
yeah, it's unconstitutional. It's little by little, and now the government's getting sued for some of the vaccine injuries. So there will be a reckoning eventually.
Yeah. I know we're going to talk about the vaccine injuries, but it's just incredible that they pushed them so hard, and that they locked people down, and for the vaccines pushing them so hard. The fact that they gave pharmaceutical companies immunity, legal immunity.
You're talking about when Reagan was president?
Yeah. So they have legal immunity as far as like Pfizer, but I think there's like some loopholes where, well, maybe we should talk about that in the next show.
Okay.
That's a whole other show.
Yeah, we've got a lot to get through here.
Let's move on, shall we? Or do you have something more to share?
I don't have, I did. I just shared the fact that the pastor was arrested, and overseas too. There were, I don't know if you remember that pastor that went viral because he was standing up to them. But basically that was my biggest thing, is the fact that they were, not letting people go to church, and just like you said, they let strippers do outside parking lot dances
and liquor stores.
Yeah,
those were open.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and move on to our next one. Let's see, we just covered lockdowns, right?
Yes, from vaccine.
Number 2, vaccine mandates. When bribing people to get the vaccine by offering free donuts and beer didn't work, some countries put their foot down and made vaccinations.
Oh, wait, did we already do the mandates?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really screwing up this talk.
I
thought we just did the mandates.
Number 2, vaccine mandates. When bribing people to get the vaccine by offering free donuts and beer didn't work, some countries put their foot down and made vaccinations mandatory. And in places where they weren't mandatory, the mainstream media pushed for mandates. Many employers required a vaccine with the threat of being fired. Many restaurants required vaccine for its patrons. And you couldn't fly without proving you've been vaccinated.
What you just said. You just said it's unconstitutional. Carrie.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, the vaccine mandates, nutty, very nutty. And a lot of people lost their jobs.
Yeah.
So, Moxie, you have any thoughts on the mandates?
The thing with the vaccine mandates is they were already pushing that you had to have it when it was still experimental. It was emergency use authorization. Like, we have laws to prevent them from using experimental medicine on us.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Nuremberg trials back after World War II, like they're not allowed to test things on us against our will. We can volunteer for that, but they are not allowed to push that on us, and they pushed hard.
Yeah.
And when lockdowns didn't work and they wanted to start opening things up, then they started saying, hey, you need to be vaccinated to come in. Or it was just, They tried hard, and people were like, oh, well, it's a choice. You want to, get vaccinated, or you can just not participate with society. Like,
right.
That's not a choice. That's coercion.
Mm-hmm.
You're being coerced into doing what they want you to do, or you don't get to do the things that you have every right to do.
And that whole thing with the Nuremberg Code, it has to do, as far as I know, with informed consent. And I don't know if y'all saw the video of someone opening the vaccine, the paperwork in it, and it was like,
I actually posted that on Telegram,
it was
and
just
got
blank.
Shared. Yeah,
because they didn't know they were experimental, and you're not allowed to. That is not allowed to be experimenting on people. And so you could say, well, it was a vaccine, it was emergency use, and but it's still experimental. And then you can argue that some of them were not vaccines because they were, the mRNA gene therapy. And again, we'll go into that later. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now, but I would like to share that there is that recently the New York Supreme Court ruled to reinstate workers with back pay. It's a Forbes article. Is that what that is?
Yep.
Okay. So it was interesting reading that because, one of the questions was, are they seeking to avoid legal challenges? Because that's, coming down. And is it like their preemptive move?
That could probably.
Right. And so it's in New York. And so how is that going to impact the rest of the country? And I think that, it's that domino effect. And so that's a big ruling, a very big ruling. They're reinstated with back pay. And then an appeals court reinstated religious challenge to the vaccine mandate for healthcare workers, which of course were heroes during COVID. And then they became the zeros, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the media, I'm sure, is not talking about that. We find this stuff because we look for it, right?
Exactly.
So that's the good news right there.
Yeah, and I know they didn't do a nationwide in the United States vaccine mandate, but honestly, it was pretty much close to it because almost every industry mandated their workers get vaccinated. The government mandated the military, which was super sad, to see that. I am so blessed that I work for a company that did not mandate that. And otherwise, who knows what I'd be doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, the corporations did what the government cannot do, which is mandated to us. So it's corporate fascism.
Exactly. So yeah, that's what I wanted to point out is the fact that, the government sort of, not sort of, the government has both big corporate companies doing their bidding and the media doing their bidding. So the propaganda falls in here, some of the lockdowns, the mandates, no, we're not going to lock down the country, but we're going to convince the governors of different states.
They're all going to do it for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the whole mandate thing was super ridiculous. I think that was one of the craziest things that happened that you would never think. And it's global, right? So look at all of these Western nations that thought they had all this freedom. And of course, the United States is known for its freedoms. And so if you were to tell me, 5 years ago that this would happen, I would say you're nuts,
Right. And think about it. The nurses and doctors are being fired for not getting vaccinated during a pandemic.
After they're called heroes.
It doesn't make any sense. They need the staff to take care because we're in a pandemic.
Exactly.
They were willing
supposedly.
to. And they were treated before the vaccine. They were on the front lines with, COVID patients. And they were willing to do that. Remember the standing ovations? They would, be on the side of the road clap. I mean, it's just.
Yeah. And I just want to clarify that when I said supposedly, I'm not saying COVID didn't exist. I think it did. I think I had it. like at the very beginning in February 2020, I had this very odd feeling sickness.
Yeah.
So I believe it existed. I just think they hyped it up to be way more than it actually was. And they put fear in people. Can you imagine being able to put fear in people for something that is similar to the flu as far as the death rates?
And it was
Actually, the death rates, I think, was less than the flu, wasn't it?
Well, the flu went off the chart because everything from the flu went to COVID. There was there was a flat line on the flu.
Yeah, there were no flu. Nobody had the flu.
Nobody did. They all had COVID. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just interesting.
And not to mention that they changed the definition of vaccine to fit this jab of whatever they were giving us.
Yeah, they did.
Like, I mean, we talked about that in another episode that we did, but
yeah, check out our definitions episode. That's where we talked about it.
And so it wasn't even a true vaccine. Like in one of the earlier videos, they were talking about, they were silencing that one woman with the Mockingbird media about, this isn't a true vaccine, that vaccines are supposed to stop you from getting it. And she was saying that it does not lessen it, or it's meant to lessen it. It's not supposed to stop you from getting it and stuff. And they stopped her because the whole definition was of a vaccine before 2020 was it prevents you from getting the disease you're trying to be protected from.
Well, yeah, you're supposed to have your body built up the antibodies for it.
And yeah, if you get it, it'll keep you out of the hospital. That was one of the things he said. Remember that?
Yeah.
Counterfactual because you can't actually prove it.
Okay, should we go to our lighthearted final
Yes.
one?
Yes, please.
Anybody have guesses as to what's number one? Is anybody watching Rumble? Because I'm trying to do a million things at once.
I've got 14, I think.
All right, let's go with number one. Drum roll, please. You guys got a drum roll? Thank you.
Number 1, crazy COVID-inspired products. You have to give it to humanity. We're a creative bunch. No pandemic or virus can stop innovation.
$1.5 million mask that a guy made.
Wait, one mask was 1.5 million? That one, the kissing?
Well, not the kissing. The kissing was its own product.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so I purposely didn't watch that because I know you had it available because I just wanted to see it now. And I'm like, what? I don't understand what that kissing machine.
So it was COVID inspired because people couldn't be together.
Okay.
And so instead of FaceTiming or Zooming or whatever with your loved one, you could kiss them.
What about
imagine kissing them? Apparently,
by kissing the machine.
Yep.
Wow. What about the videos of couples kissing with their masks on? Remember that?
But there have been some interesting products that people have created, and that's why it's like you got to give it to humans. You can't take away innovation, no matter COVID or not, pandemic or not. Like, humans will always be innovative.
Yes, and we had to be creative and do something, and make things out of nothing sometimes, or things that we had, just to do something since we were so limited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was our final one because it was kind of silly, and a good way to end on a light note, even though we're going to end on a deep note with Carrie now.
Well, it's not really, I mean.
No, I'm just teasing you.
Well, y'all know me, and we have to look at the what.
Yep.
And I always want to know why.
The why is so important.
It doesn't end at the what. Like, we're looking at all this stuff, and it's like, well, but why? I was one of those kids, but why? Like to mom and dad, everything is why. But anyway, so why did so many people buy into this? Especially when their parents or grandparents are on their deathbed and they didn't go see them. Right? Why? How? And I was watching an interview with arguably the world expert, Matthias, oh geez, I can't remember his name. But it was on American Thought Leaders. And he talked about mass formation psychosis. Many have probably heard about it. But we really need to understand it to understand why it happened. And
well, even Dr. Malone talked about that.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, the way he describes it was that it happens when people are isolated from one another and fear and anxiety is present. So we're isolated, we get all that from the media. And as a result, they're desperate to free themselves of that anxiety. And they direct their frustration and anxiety at others. That's the process. And so they stigmatize, they try to destroy those who don't go along with their narrative. And it's almost like it's their moral duty, but it's all in a desire to alleviate the fear and anxiety that they themselves had.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's a group formation, and it makes those in the group blind to it and willing to sacrifice everything from freedom.
Yeah, I was watching some things like that too. Yeah.
Right? Freedom, family, friends. I mean, think about the division. And of course, that's the
like, even if they're shown the truth and you prove it to them.
Yep. Yeah.
That, yes.
It's totally irrational. And that's why I kept saying it all throughout, because it all was. And they're completely blind and intolerant to the counter narratives that clearly reveal the truth, because it's not a rational thing. And so, my question is, like, what happens when a society considers scientific data, trusted science, to be the one and only way to govern society? And
they say trust the science, but they're not willing to listen to science that disagrees with them.
Well, that's it. So they censor all the true science, but so that is what happened. They believed that it's as their life depended on it. And these arbiters of truth became purveyors of lies. But the people that were in this, it's like a hypnosis. They just did not see it. And this is interesting. Per a Stanford study, that over 85% of the scientific and medical journals are manipulated to achieve certain outcomes.
Oh, I believe it now.
Like,
I wouldn't have believed that 5 years ago.
Exactly. So another silver lining, the Great Awakening. And so if that's the case, and it's all driven to get their results, and whatever medication, and I mean, think about all the medications that are approved and then withdrawn. Do you know what I mean? Like, how did they get those? Did they get them through falsified studies? And do you know what I mean? So it goes on and on. But it just seems very clear that we need other principles to govern society.
Hey, can I interrupt you?
Absolutely.
50 Cube on Rumble said, on the first day of a lockdown, he said, I went for a walk in the evening on the first day of lockdown. Some guy driving by started honking at me just for walking on the sidewalk.
But why was the guy driving if it was supposed to be in lockdown?
But honestly, like, that is what people give you dirty looks if you went outside, or anyway, it kind of fed into what you were talking about there, Carrie. So
was that guy driving alone in his car with a mask on?
Probably.
Yeah.
Inspector. Anyway.
Yeah. Answer that question if you're still on.
Yeah. So throughout all of what we've been through, we've noticed it's impossible not to, the totalitarian push, right?
Right.
It's full on. If you don't notice, you're not paying attention. And obviously totalitarianism is there's no opposition to those in power.
Right.
But what was really interesting that this guy pointed out, and I really thought about it, is that totalitarian states rely on the hypnotized masses to promote their ideology. And it's very different from a classical dictatorship. And a dictatorship is rooted in the leadership. If that leadership is removed, the masses can go, because they're afraid of that leadership. If that elite, they're removed, they go to a state of freedom. But in a totalitarian state, it's rooted in the people. And that are fanatics, that are hypnotized and by fear and all that anxiety. And the leaders use them and manipulate them through fear. And if the totalitarian elite are removed, the system still remains. That is what's really scary. And that's what we're fighting right now. That is absolutely what we're fighting. And I mean, I imagine there are a lot of solutions, and I happen to agree with him in this interview that, if our understanding is based on false information, it's going to be difficult to make a rational decision, right?
Yeah. I think it's more than that, though. I do think there's some brainwashing going on there. It's more than just not even having the information, because for some people, even if you give them the information and prove it,
right.
So something clicked in there, and it's like, how do you unclick that?
Because
like,
they're feeling safe as a result, because the government is telling me and they're relying on.
I know, but if you're offered if you're offered a candy bar and somebody tells you it's a piece of watermelon, and then they show you what watermelon looks like online, and then they show you at the grocery store the sign says it's watermelon.
Yeah, that's like really in your face, but they could potentially not even see that. But if you think about the rationality of COVID, like Fauci, everybody always trusted science, over and over. That turns
repetitive,
constantly. That turns society into a radically irrational state.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe we're brainwashed with something we don't know.
Well, we might be, but certainly not with this. But, and you said earlier, we have to understand that there are powerful forces that are driving this behavior and information, pharma, government, media, corporations, and then they continually reinforce it. The media is a big aspect, but I know there's, a little tiny bit more. But I really loved what he said, which is that even if we don't have all the information, because our community, we love to search for truth. We're always researching and we want to share it with people. And
did you notice in that propaganda video, they all talked about how dangerous it is for people to research for themselves?
Can you
believe that?
Yeah, I can. They don't want you to do that. They want they want you to trust them so they can control you. But if we can just understand and accept that even the most well-researched, that we don't know it all. Like, how can we have all the information? And so it doesn't matter. We obviously want to seek the truth and know the truth, but that we could still live by eternal principles that guide us, and not by our emotions and not by our feelings, and to just love each other and to utilize empathy in our dealing with each other and treating our fellow man with dignity. And we didn't see any of that.
Right.
I mean, with the people that are in the mass formation psychosis.
Right.
And so, but understanding that is this first step in really being able to look at where it's all coming from and to fight it. And okay, there is a meme that I'd like you to show, please. Because
I love this meme.
It's so awesome. So if y'all can't see, can you see that?
Yeah, it's full screen.
Okay, great. So the elite has been going a long, long, long time, right? They are about their masks. all the healthcare workers, they've got theirs. And then that conspiracy theorist, that darn conspiracy theorist in the back.
leaning up against the light pole or whatever that is, just all chill.
He's like, this is sus. Something's not right here. And so I just think that we just need to be the conspiracy theorists, right?
Well, we're already called conspiracy theorists. And I'm gonna continue to say that no, we point out conspiracies. Sometimes we have theories, but sometimes it's actual facts and it's actual conspiracies. And I'm not going to let them redefine the word conspiracy, because conspiracy is a real thing. It's not
they're conspiring.
You have to add the word theory after it if it's something that is unknown.
Right.
So, wow, those were great final thoughts, Carrie. You always have such great insights. Do you have any final thoughts, Moxie?
I'm really sorry for being late.
Yeah, we knew you. I mean, you told us ahead of time. It's fine.
But it's just, someone in chat said that looking at all of this stuff was making her mad.
Aww.
Were you watching our show?
Yeah, somebody watching our show on Rumble said that. It's Marcina Karbowski said these reminders make me angry. And they make me angry too, and they should make everybody watching this angry, because this was done to us by people who honestly don't care what happens to us.
That's for sure.
Yep. And it's not, I mean, we didn't cause it for sure. It's nutty though, looking back.
We would allow it to happen again.
Well, that's the thing. We can't allow it to happen again. And I honestly, Moxie, don't think that they got as far as they wanted to get with it.
Oh, they definitely did not get what they wanted.
So
no, they wanted the digital passports. That was a lot of what it was about.
Well, they started that in some countries.
They did not expect people to be awake as they were.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. I think it woke a lot of people up. And I definitely I had a lot of I think I had a lot of fun kind of looking at the silliness, but at the same time we do have to look at the serious nature too. Mm-hmm. But it is amazing, like the crazy things that happened, during COVID, even just laughing about what happened on some Zoom meetings and that kind of stuff, who was it on CNN?
I remember that.
No.
Should I not bring it up? Okay, I'm not going to.
You can bring that up.
Okay. Well, it's nasty.
It's weird and gross, but
yeah, I mean, a lot of people suddenly became human because people saw them with their animals. Other good things that came out of COVID to lighten it up, and put the positive. A lot of people woke up, yes, but a lot of families got closer. And a lot of kids had to go to school from home. So now parents could see what the schools were actually teaching the kids.
Yes.
So I feel like we were living in a blind world before. And now we're living in a world where people are like, wait a minute, I'm not going to put up with that. And so people are fighting back, and, stuff is getting exposed. And I think that's what really is the ultimate outcome of COVID, even though we need to expose all the bad stuff so that we don't do it again. You always should remember history, even though they want to erase it sometimes. Right. But yeah, I think a lot of good came out of it that boomeranged on them. So
now, I believe they are more awake than asleep. This gentleman who, he has a master's in statistics too, and psychology. He wrote The Psychology of Technocratic Totalitarianism because it's rising together. Technology is helping it, is fueling it. But he said it's like 25, 30% of the population that are in this psychosis. So there's more of us. Now, a lot of people, I believe, are awake, but they're not really outright talking about it or, telling other people, they're quiet.
Well, do you remember when conservatives were the silent majority? afraid to speak up. Now we're super loud.
Yeah.
So I think there's a new group of silent majority that are that are not necessarily Republican or Democrat. They might be both. I don't really I feel like politics shouldn't even be a part of any of this. It should just be about our freedoms and securing our freedoms and protecting each other.
And absolutely. And being kind and good to each other. And when we understand that politics are not what we have always thought they were, there's no left and right. There's a uniparty. They've been corrupted.
There's left and right, and they're both warmongers.
Right?
Yeah.
And captured. I mean, there are some good ones in there. There are the Freedom Caucus. There are some good people that.
But it didn't matter in the past who became president.
Exactly.
They were all pushing. It didn't matter if it was Republican or Democrat, even though we
thought we had a choice.
Yeah, and we cheered because our side won, but honestly,
no.
They were still pushing the same things.
And what changed? Right? It was all a show.
An outsider came in.
Do
you think there really would have been a COVID?
There wouldn't have been a need for COVID.
Well, you mean with Trump? I mean, that was COVID was a coup d'etat.
It totally was.
It was a total coup. And, they tried all of their impeachments and they couldn't get them out because,
is that not obvious when you look back?
I don't think
campaign spied on 2 impeachments and then COVID, but right before an election.
Yeah.
And so that all the mail, how is it not obvious when you're up at the 100,000-foot view looking down?
A lot of people are in it and they're living life on their emotions and feelings.
Yeah.
Because it's always stirred by the media. If you think about it, look at what we're being stirred with now. But a lot of it is the what, but there's that why is still there. It's still lurking and they're still trying, even though they're losing.
Yep. Well, yeah, I think what's to come is going to be super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've come armed now, with the armor of God, and we kind of we're woken up, so we kind of know what to watch for now. So,
yeah, and I don't know if it was Mark Twain, but truth. What is it? Truth doesn't need to be defended. You just let it go, you put it out there and it defends itself.
Yeah. Why would it have to be defended? The truth never changes.
That's right. The lies that need to be defended with other lies, and there's so many lies and there are lies upon lies that they don't even know anything anymore.
I think we should close up the show because it's been over an hour and a half.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Am I rambling?
No, I am myself, but no, great show. I think it's a lot important things to remember, even the goofy stuff, because psychologically, why do people behave that way?
Yeah, we have to remember because they're not going to come out and say we're really sorry that we did that. So we
they don't need to, but I think people need to see it and look back and be like, whoa.
Yeah.
When you're in it, you're not like, whoa, but now it's like, whoa. All right, ladies.
Well,
you guys have a good night.
You too.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Please subscribe and hit the like button, and hopefully come chat on Telegram or Twitter or on Truth Social and let us know how you like the show or even what you don't like about it. I would love to change it up if you have any constructive feedback. So thanks again. Have a great night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye, friends.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright